All right, firing on all cylinders and coming up ready to play. That's the Steve Gruber Show on is it a Wednesday? Good to have you here. So much to talk about from the Foxhole Freedom today. Let's get rolling here. 3 big things you need to know in this hour. Number 1, a hitchhiker from the east. An invasive Asian tick has landed in the Midwest. It's what nightmares are made of for some folks. Number 2, the media fails to mention illegal aliens in much of their coverage of important things like crime in America. They always forget the illegal alien part. And number 3, here's something that I just picked up from Michigan News Source, and I realized I didn't look at Michigan News Source yesterday. What a mistake. So I'm about 12 hours behind on this story, but this is interesting. Vance Belter is the man charged with the murder of a Minnesota state representative and her husband. Strange story. He shot 4 people. A state senator and his wife, they survived. Former Speaker of the House and her husband, they both died. But police arrived at the house of Melissa Hortman and spotted this guy dressed as a police officer with a car that looked like a police cruiser in the driveway, got into a gunfight with him, and then he went into the house and murdered 2 people. How did that happen? How did police get into a gunfight, and then he went in the house and murdered Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark? But that's not what I'm here to tell you about. That's just something that makes me go, really? How did that happen? How is that possible? That's just one of those things that, I'm here to tell you this. The hit list that he had, that had almost 60 people on it. Now, some people called it a manifesto. I don't know what it's called. They should just release it. Then we'll all know. But it included numerous Michigan people. Jocelyn Benson, the Secretary of State. Alyssa Slotkin, the Senator. Debbie Dingell, the Congresswoman. Hillary Scholten, the Congresswoman. Rashida Tlaib, Congresswoman. Haley Stevens, Congresswoman. Sri Tanadar Tard, Congressman. Michigan State Police told Scholten her name was on the list. The shooting took place on the anniversary of the shooting of Steve Scalise, who was gunned down along with other members of Congress playing baseball. Remember that? Of course you do. But why were this guy's in Minnesota? Michigan State Rep Jason Morgan of Ann Arbor said nobody in this country should have to fear for their safety in their own home and whether they're a public official or not, and nobody should be subjected to extremism and violence for just doing their jobs. We have to make sure we're not putting people in danger for showing up and serving their communities. You mean like police officers who don't want to deal with raging mobs and rioters or anti-Semitic crowds on college campuses? I completely agree, Mr. Morgan. I agree with you. You're right. We should not have to be putting up with that kind of intimidation and nonsense. I could not possibly agree more. I think you're right about that. Meanwhile, the Democrats, who think that there should be no violence except when it's targeting people like me, also think that I should be silenced. I should be silenced and people like me should be. Of course, there's not anybody quite like me, but I should be silenced, and anybody that's in the same right of center lane should be silenced. AOC says so. She's the leading candidate to be president for the Democrats. She says I should be silenced. Listen.
You know, I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy because that is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false. And so that's something that we're looking into.
Yeah, they're looking into telling me what I can say and whether they deem it to be true or false. I wonder what they would have deemed the 2020 driver's license scheme by the Chinese, to deliver tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of fake IDs to America. True, by the way. According to the FBI and whistleblowers on the inside, Christopher Wray's FBI got rid of the research. The source of here's the memo, by the way. Here's the long hidden internal memo. The source obtained the information from an identified subsource who claimed they obtained the information from unidentified People's Republic of China government officials. This is an informational report, not final evaluated evidence. In late August 2020, the Chinese government produced a large amount of fraudulent United States driver's licenses that were secretly exported to the United States. The fraudulent driver's licenses would allow tens of thousands of Chinese students and immigrants sympathetic to the Chinese Communist Party to vote for U.S. presidential candidate Joe Biden. Not being eligible to vote in the United States, China had collected private U.S. user data from millions of TikTok accounts to include name, ID, and address, which would allow the Chinese government to use real U.S. persons' information to create the fraudulent driver's license. Real name, real address, really good fake. The driver's licenses would include true ID numbers, true address of U.S. citizens, making them difficult to detect. China planned to use the fraudulent licenses to account for tens of thousands of mail-in votes, which they did. A person's address information was not a valid field when creating a TikTok account. It was unspecified how China would obtain U.S. address data from the application, sources available for recontact. And then they said, yeah, we're not interested. Interesting. Not interested. Pretty important stuff, wouldn't you say? The Chinese infiltrated our elections. They fraudulently inject themselves into our elections. President Xi did this. We know this now. We have the proof. We have the evidence. We have the smoking gun. And yet, no investigation so far. No investigation so far. Strange, really, wouldn't you say? Hey, you want coffee that does more? How about this? 1775 just launched Rejuvenate, the first anti-aging coffee of its kind. If you love coffee, you're going to love this. Rejuvenate from 1775 is the first ever coffee infused with CAKG, a clinically studied ingredient that supports strength, energy, and health, and prevents aging at the cellular level. Here's the deal. CAKG levels drop as we get age. As we get older, that means slower recovery, lower energy, feeling older than we should. But now there's a simple way to fight back without changing your routine. Rejuvenate is a real coffee. It's just smarter. Same bold flavor, same daily ritual, but now it's fueling your body with more. And right now you can grab the longevity bottle. It's worth $250. It's just $99. But there are only 1,000 out there. Hurry up. When they're gone, they're gone. 2 bags Rejuvenate, anti-aging coffee, a rare Peabody roast. Only 5% of the beans qualify for this. An exclusive 1775 gear you won't find in stores. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Grab yours now. Drink coffee that fuels your freedom, your values, and your life. Feel sharper, stronger, younger, and know you're fueling the companies that actually give a damn about your health and freedom. There you go. Quick break. 1775 Coffee. God bless them.